Hey guys, what's up? Card here, and today I'm here with another DigiCard 101. Today we'll be talking about deck building and deck building ratios. So there is a post on the Discord group by Antinomy Paradox Mode, and he put out the best ratios to put in a deck, but obviously this is just a general reference. It's not fixed in stone, and you don't have to follow this religiously. And even me, if you look at my deck profiles, you'll know that a lot of my decks are... The ratios might look weird depending on what build I'm showing, but the general ratios are 12 to 14 rookies, so level 3s, 10 to 12 champions, which is level 4s, 7 to 9 ultimates, which is level 5s, and 4 to 7 megas, which are level 6 and level 7s. Additionally, you also have to look at 16 to 18 cards that you want to see in the security. So if you check it, you won't mind checking it. So it's kind of like damage checking your triggers, and you would want to have 16 to 18 cards that you would be happy to check in your security zone. I'm not too sure about that last part because it really depends on what build you're doing, but I guess it's a pretty good rule of thumb since it kind of follows the same logic as damage checking triggers in Vanguard. And yeah, but for the most part, my builds that aren't weird will generally follow that rule of thumb, and I think it also the trial decks, starter decks also follow that rule of thumb. And yeah, the links to the Discord group is down in the link below, so if you also want to have a look at that and discuss with other people for the deck building, you can have a look at that. So credits to Antinomy Paradox Mode for the math that he did. So the reason why you would not want to follow that religiously is because in Digimon there are a lot of deck builds that rely on having different ratios. So for example, if you're playing the Shine Greymon build, you're going to have a lot of tamers. My build is running 9 to 10. I usually waver around a bit for the ratios, but it's currently running 10. I feel like 10 is a pretty good number for this build because with TK, you can, when you play it, you can look at your security. So you have access to looking at 5 cards, which has a pretty decent chance of getting a card that you want to your hand, which might be a piece for you to digivolve up. And yeah, not much else to say about that. Black also has something similar because it's running a toolbox build. So if you saw my black toolbox deck, you'll know that the ratio for that build is pretty weird because we have Venomiotismon and we also have Yamato to toolbox for cards. So that's why you can play a little the ratio can be a little bit more funky, and it still won't disrupt the deck too much. If you're playing O-Force Digimon, you will also need to run a lot of tamers. I'm running 8 in my build. Unlike the Shine Greymon build, O-Force Digimon doesn't really have a way to cheat their tamers out on the board, except for maybe security checking them, but that's not a super reliable way to do it. But they also have a way to get memory, so I guess that's a kind of an easier way for you to play the tamers. And the tamers for the most part are pretty good. They all give you pluses, definitely not that bad. But unlike Yellow, who can use the Rise Greymon to cheat out tamers, I do run 2 less tamers in the blue build. And if you're playing something like Omegamon, usually you're gonna run a higher count of level 6 or 7s because you have to, in order to go to Omegamon, you have to reach level 6 first. So for my blue build, I'm running 6 level 6s and 3 level 7s. I was running 4 level 7s before, but I felt like I drew into Omegamon too much sometimes. It sounds kind of weird, but I rather have more parts in the middle where I can more consistently not brick than to have a bunch of Omegamons in my hand. But I do know why people will want to run 4 Omegamons, because Omegamon, it's counted as a card that you want to see in security because it's 15k base. So pretty much anything that crashes into it will die, even in a Omegamon mirror, unless they're playing red that can buff their Omegamons. But yeah, if you run 4 Omegamons, you can stop a lot of opponents' plays, especially if they're doing an attack with a lot of security checks. If you have Omegamon, it's just gonna stop that. They're gonna hit a brick wall and then just gonna have to stop checking because of its high base power. But each to his own. I'm actually also hovering between 4 and 3 Omegamons in my I always like tweaking around my builds because I find that really fun, and it's also really interesting because the meta is always kind of changing in Digimon because everybody's finding new ways to kind of build decks and play around, since there's a wide variety of cards you can play around with in this game, and nothing is really locked in. There was no clans like Vanguard. So as long as you can smoothly digivolve and rush and stuff like that, or whatever type of deck you're playing, you can build a deck around a theme. So yeah, a lot of testing there. So my War Greymon deck is probably just the deck that runs the closest to the ratio out of these 5 decks. Yeah, because unlike other Red has the easiest time playing Gaia Force, which is easily one of the best cards to have in your security. It's easy removal. A lot of colors try to have a card that's similar to this, but it's never really the same. Kakaida's Breath or Trump Sword, they all have something similar, but Gaia Force is the best. So usually in a red deck, everybody's just running 4 Gaia Force just for the sake of, getting that lucky pop off your opponent. And if you're playing red Omegamon, you're gonna have 4 Gaia Force and 4 Omegamons in your deck. So that's gonna be a really bad time for your opponent, because it's a lot of times if you do have either of these in your security, it's gonna stop something. So that's one of the things you need to note when you're deck building. So in addition to focusing on the theme, I went on a tangent, sorry. In addition to focusing on the theme of the deck and the focus that you need, like Freedomon, you need the Tamers, Shagiromon, you need the Tamers, Omegamon, you need the level 6s. You also need to keep in mind the meta of of your locals, or your area. If you are playing in a meta with a lot of rookie rush decks, you might not want to just run a bunch of really high evolution cost monsters. If you're playing a meta deck, it should be fine because they usually have ways to play around it. But if you're experimenting and trying to build a fun deck, you have to kind of analyze the meta. For me, my War Greymon deck is my fun deck right now because I'm not running Omegamons in it. So I have to kind of adjust to the meta there and what people are playing. I noticed for a period of time, Rookie Rush was very popular, and so I built this deck for fun because what this deck mainly does is it tries to just cheese your opponent's security with Metal Greymon, which I know people don't really like because it's giving 5 memory to your opponent. It's not very good. But if you have Greymon stacked on this, it does 4 security checks, and if your opponent's playing a Rookie Rush deck, they lose 4 of their security just like that. And it's, even if they can just pump out rookies and rush you, it's not likely that they'll be able to get those 4 that fast. They could. Rookie Rush has some pretty mean plays, but this deck is is also pretty mean, just checking 4 of your opponent's securities. And since they're playing Rookie Rush, they have nothing to stop this except for maybe Gaia Force. So yeah, just my own anecdotal evidence. So don't take that as again, don't take that as sacred scripture or anything like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Somebody requested for this video, and that's why I made it. And if you have any other topics that you want me to go over, let me know. If you have any other questions that you want to ask me, also let me know down below. I did ramble a little bit. I did go off tangent, and that's because I have so much fun talking about this game, and so I will be like that sometimes. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this DigiCard 101. This is Karataku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!